appreciate all the support, and we're looking forward to it. So it's going to be fun. We've got a lot of stuff to get into, and I promise you guys we'll mix in a ton more NFL insiders, NBA gambling experts as well. So we're going to cover the gamut, a little MLB hot stove, boxing talk, horse racing. We're pumped. We are absolutely pumped. That will be Monday to Friday now right here on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio. So a nice little expansion from an hour to 2 days to 3 to night 5. All right, so we got. I feel, though, with the NFL and the regular season coming to an end yesterday, it couldn't have come fast enough for me as a Giant fan, which I'm going to get into in a moment. I also owe Nick Sirianni an apology. I'll probably do that in the 5 o'clock hour. But the NFL is just utter madness. I mean, how about Black Friday today, right? You turn around and all these coaches, Flores, Nagy, Fangio, Zimmer, out. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Now, you knew there was going to be some changes, right? And I'm a little surprised with Flores, not shocked with Nagy or Fangio. Zimmer, we got the playoffs are set. So we knew today was going to be Black Friday. We had crazy, bizarre games last night. Crazy, bizarre. The Raiders and the Chargers was an all-timer. Analytics. I'm so tired of that crap. You get the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, it pains me, folks. You know, I mock Sirianni, and all of a sudden, boom, the Philadelphia Eagles, even though they gave up 51 in a meaningless game against the Dallas Cowboys, they are in the playoffs. Wild card weekend is among us. So, as I mentioned, everything is set. We saw some teams spit the bit. We saw some teams step up. We got some early lines out already, which we will dive into. But I just think it's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable when you talk about the NFL. First of all, the season goes so fast, and now you get the double dip with the wild card game Saturday. You get 3 on Sunday, and then you get the matchup on Monday. So we know it'll be the Raiders in Cincinnati, 4:30, NBC Saturday, New England, Buffalo, 8:15 CBS. Sunday, Eagles, Tampa Bay, NFC wildcard. San Francisco, how about the 49ers? I told you guys this. If they get in, they're going to be a tough out. Now, they match up against Dallas. Pittsburgh, crazy game yesterday that we saw against Baltimore. Big Ben gets in against Kansas City, so have fun getting waxed by 20. And then Arizona and the Rams on Monday. Now, as for many of the teams that aren't getting in, and one of them happens to be the New York Giants. And as you guys already know, yes, I bleed the blue. We know this. But let me just say, as a football fan, watching that garbage yesterday, and that's what it was. It was garbage. So I understand the season's coming to a merciful end. Another disastrous season if you're the New York Giants. If you're a stubborn, naive, stupid fan like myself who decides I'm still going to invest my time, my heart, my passion into this team. Why? Because I don't know. It's insanity. I'm thinking they're going to do something different, and they don't. So yesterday, as I predicted, I thought they were going to lose 30-6 to Washington. But in the midst of getting waxed, because the 3-0 deficit felt like 30-0 with Jake from State Farm back there, the Giants and Joe Judge and Freddie Kitchens put together a series that you can only sum up as malpractice. You can only sum up as basically rat-like behavior. You can sum up as gutless, as having no stones. And it was pretty much one of the most embarrassing sequences I can recall as a Giant fan. And to be fair, pretty much one of the most embarrassing sequences in Giant history and the NFL right now, where on a 3rd and 9 down 3-0 in the second quarter with 5 minutes to go, The New York Football Giants decide to set football back 55 years and elect to basically run a quarterback keeper, if you will, a little sneak for negative yardage. Why? Because the coach has no stones and he's gutless and he's a freaking clown. Because the offensive coordinator has no confidence, along with the coach, in the quarterback, which fine. But I have to sit here and listen to this jerk, this jackass of a head coach, Joe Judge, who sat and he, quote, as Johnny Mack would say, won the press conference talking about how Big Blue, we're going to run the football. We're going to punch you in the mouth for 60 minutes. We're going to do justice to the game of football. And what does this guy do? He flat out quit. He flat out quit yesterday on the organization, on his players. It's bad enough Kenny Golladay is making $72 million and decides to Ricky Waters the ball and not go for it, not sell out. It's bad enough that Saquon Barkley, and I'm a big fan of Saquon, looks like a shell of himself. It's bad enough Evan Ingram can't catch a friggin' cold. It's bad enough that this offensive line, Dave Gettleman, thank you, enjoy your retirement. You mentioned hog mollies. They look like pigs in slop. But then to have to endure that game yesterday and to make matters worse, to listen to a delusional head coach who's talking about punching you in the mouth and the sanctity of the game, and you basically call that play is utter malpractice. It is gutless. How in the world is it 4:11 Eastern time and this clown is still employed by the New York Giants? Where you got Flores down in Miami. Oh, he clashed with the GM. Oh, he didn't get along with Tua. So what? They were 1-7 and they played hard. Explain to me how the Detroit Lions, a horrible football team, play hard with nothing to play for. Explain to me how Jacksonville and all the turmoil they had to deal with, Urban Meyer and a young quarterback, they win 2 football games all season long. What do? They close out the season by winning a third, and they knock out the Colts in the playoff picture, and they play hard. The Texans play hard. The Jets yesterday, they lost. But you know what? You see positive signs. And I got to watch this nonsense and then listen to this guy afterwards. He's a classic example of a bully. And he's delusional. And enough is enough. End the madness. My only saving grace right now, and I don't buy into all these reports that he's coming back, because 2 weeks ago, Judge, who basically waxed poetic about himself, goes on this 20-minute diatribe, delusional rant. Last week, he calls out Ron Rivera, and then Rivera sticks it to him yesterday. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just stop already. I don't care what franchise this is. It's just madness. And I need Tish to be in that meeting with John Mara. Because how in the world can you sit there on good faith and say to yourself, this is what the fan base deserves? Did you see yesterday was an empty parking lot? It looked like a flea market. In the off season, nobody was there. If you're an owner and you see that, your fan base doesn't even show up, what does that tell you? The same thing happened with Andy Reid. The same thing happened with Chip's years. We've seen it. The same thing happened with Bowles in New York, with Gaze in New York. We've seen this before. But the difference is, those ownership groups actually had the wherewithal to say enough is enough, to hell with this. Get this guy out of here. And I'm still sitting here 4 o'clock on a Monday, Black Friday, coaches' heads are rolling left and right, and this jerk is still employed? I mean, if you're an Eagles fan, if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're a Washington football fan, you're laughing right now. Listen to me on the air. You're loving this because you want this guy to come back. Sometimes you got to cut ties, man. Listen, there are good coaches in the NFL. who just got fired. Flores is a good head coach. He's out. Nagy was clueless. Fangio, Zimmer, past his time. Good coordinator, not a head coach anymore. But when you have an ownership group that just decides we're just going to be comfortable, we're not going to change, that's madness. That's insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over, and you're expecting a different result. That's Webster's Dictionary of Insanity. It didn't work out with McAdoo. It didn't work out with Shermer. And it's okay that it didn't work out with Judge. But don't not fire him because you don't want to sit there and be the guy that's been married 3 or 4 times. And you had to go through these divorces. Who cares? It's an embarrassment. It kills me that they are the worst friggin' franchise in not only the NFL right now, but it's safe to say in all of sports. That's how bad it's been. I got a head coach that preaches discipline. They're not disciplined. I have a head coach that preaches we're going to go for it and be aggressive. On 4th and 1. 4th and 1 on your opponent's other side of the field. You punt all the time. That's not aggressive. I mean, this guy's sitting there talking about other coaches and franchises being in some clown show organization. Hello, look in the mirror. I give you the New York Giants. You are a clown show of an operation, of an organization. My God, wake me in April for Yankees baseball, will you? I can't stomach this. I can't stomach this. Then I got my buddies texting me nonstop who happen to be Eagles fans just yucking it up. Enjoying it. Sit back, relax while wallowing. I can't deal with that anymore. I got the Cowboys going to the playoffs. I got the Eagles going to the playoffs. Well, what is the world coming to? It's madness. And I'm telling you right now, if they turn around and retain this guy, it just all bets are off. You can't do it. It's a mess. It's a absolute mess. You have to think outside the box at times. And so many people are so afraid to do that. You know, all these owners and these GMs now want the sexy young hot coach who's all about the analytics. How'd that work out last night with the Chargers? I mean, honestly, how did it work out? Everybody wants the next McVay. You know what? If they get bounced in the first round and they're going in, limping, by the way, you don't think they're going to call for his head? You don't always need the sexy brunette, the first girl that walks in the bar, man. But you also can't worry about dating and breaking up and going through different relationships. The Giants are an organization right now. Their mindset is, well, we just can't break up with this guy. We can't do it because it's a bad look, the optics, the perception. It's worse. It's worse if you actually keep that relationship going. You think it was easy for the Eagles to fire Andy Reid? They brought in Chip Kelly. It didn't work out. They got rid of him. They brought in Doug. They won a Super Bowl, but yet it didn't work out. This is a guy that won a Super Bowl. And you want to say he was forced out, pushed out, fired? They made a change. Sirianni talking about friggin' flowers and roses a couple months ago, and I'm laughing at him left and right. Oh, by the way, this team wins 4 out of their last 5, and they're in the playoffs. So how much of a fool do I look like and sound like? Nothing wrong with going outside the organization, thinking outside the box. That's what it's all about. And you have to do that sometimes. You can't be so stagnant. You can't. You can't be so narrow-minded. And that's what happens. The Bears, cheap organization. Tampa for years. The Giants, the Jets. They're just, some of these organizations and these franchises are set in their ways. And what happens is you become a laughing stock. You become the team that loses 12, 13, 14 games every single season. Why? Because you don't want to make a change. Why? Because you're afraid how the optics are going to look. Why? Because you're worried about public perception. The fan base is livid. They want blood. They want blood. Give him blood. Get rid of this guy. Go outside the box. And I'm not even talking about hardball because I think that's what Miami's banking on. Because you got a owner that's a Michigan guy. And now all of a sudden hardball, that's the hardball effect. These coaches are getting fired because everyone thinks that other sexy brunette is about to break up with her boyfriend. Let's all get in line. That's how they look at hardball right now. So now you got this domino effect. I'm not saying the Giants go after hardball. But get rid of this guy and start from scratch. And my fear, my concern is that you hire a new GM or you have candidates out there and they're afraid to be fully transparent. See, what's going to happen is it's like going to a job or wanting that promotion and somebody says, hey, Rich, what do you really think about so-and-so? And you're afraid to badmouth them or to be honest because you think that's going to affect your standing with the bosses. That's my concern with these candidates who are going to actually sit there in front of Tish and Mara, and when they're pressed or asked, what do you think about the head coach? Man, you got to have some real stones, and you got to call it the way you see it. Well, if I was hired, the first thing I would do is I would make a change. And maybe they're not willing to do that. Because if you hire a GM that's reluctant to do it, guess what? You're going to get the next 5 years of horrible, horrible, depressing football again. All right, 21 past the 4 o'clock hour, just cranking up on a Monday edition of Back Your Play. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. We'll take quickie time out. We'll get to your tweets as well, at Rich Q on Q. Costco is going to join us. We'll talk a little college football. How about Nick with his picks this year? Isn't it amazing, too, right? We're so saturated with the NFL, and it almost seems unfathomable that people forgot we have a national championship tonight. Georgia and Alabama, 1-3. They got it right. Georgia's laying 2.5. We'll get into that. I'll give you a sneak peek in the early look at these playoff lines as well. Corey Parsons in the 5 o'clock hour. You out there as well at 609-445-1490. Keep it locked in to a Monday edition of BYP right here on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio.